How's it going, David from Comic Book Investments? So Heritage just had their big auction of the beginning of the year 2024, and a lot of stuff sold, a lot of big books, a lot of highest grade, things like that. And so I figured let's go through with them. Let's see. Now a lot of people that comics have been going down, and they have been going down, but let's see if they're continuing to go down. Let's see how bad this auction was, or maybe how good it was. First, and I'm just going to basically show you the comic, and then I'm going to show you the GPA and basically what they last sold for. Now, bear in mind that not every auction happens that the comic just goes up and up and up. That's impossible. Like every comic that goes up and up. That's not signs of like healthy at all. There's going to be some where they go down, some will go up. Some like that's healthy. Where you have like some, it's like, oh, it came close to the previous one. Oh, it shot past the previous one. Oh, all-time record. Oh, it went really low. That's an auction. That's what's going to happen. So we're going to see a lot of those just all over the place, but let's just get an overall view of what's going on. Okay, so this one, Superman, number 1, I believe it's the second highest grade. Let me pull up Superman. So I'm going to go along with you. So hopefully, let me make sure you guys can see the GPA. Yep, okay. So I'm going to scroll through until I see Superman. Okay, let's do Superman number 1. I don't know if there's a 7.5. I know 8.0 is the highest grade. So an 8.0 sold for, 5.2 million. The last 7.0 sold December of 2021. So pretty much near the height. It sold for 2.6. So this one sold for 2.3. So a little lower, but really not that bad when you compare that, like 2021 was the all-time like high for comic books. So really hasn't dropped too much. Okay, let's go on the next. I'm just going to go through like the top ones for now. Then we'll pick apart other ones. All right. Spider-Man number 1, a 9.8. I believe there's only one of two. I don't think a 9.8 has ever sold before, if at least I can remember, or at least recently. So we're going to look at this one, and it'll probably be the only one to go off of. So a 9.6 is the only one sold, and that sold for, $500,000. This sold for 3 times that, nearly to 3 times that. Is it a good price? I don't know. A 9.8 Spider-Man 1 of 2, I believe. It's 1 of 2. 1 of 2 copies. Is it a good price? 1.4-ish? I wonder if this includes the taxes. I don't think it includes the taxes. So if you're paying taxes on this, geez. So much, much higher. But anyways, do I think it's a good price? I don't know. Like, the person inside of me is like, oh, no, shot to the moon. Should have went for like, 3 million or something like that. But maybe, 3 times what a 9.6 would go for. I don't know. It's still, it's still a lot of money. All right, so there's that one. Okay, the next biggest one was All-Star. First Wonder Woman and a 9.4. This is the highest grade. Let's see, All-Star. Dog's over there snoring. What's going on here? Come on. Oh, there it goes. All-Star number 8. Let's look at it. So this was a 9.4, sold for $1.5 million. I know this book has sold before previously. So, okay, so let's see. Last one sold for 1.6 million, and before that, it sold for under $1 million back in 2017. So, yeah, I mean, it's not an all-time record high, but it did sell for basically right around what it sold for before. Okay, let's look at the next one. We got, clicked the wrong button. We got Showcase number 4, selling for $900,000 in a 9.6. Let's see, Showcase 4, was this grade, a 9.6. The last one that sold was in 2009, sold for about 179,000. Might be the same one, so 900 grand. That is a massive return on your investment. Basically, like almost 5 times your return. So since 2009. So there you go. Is comic books a bad investment? I don't know. You tell me. 5x in 10, no, like almost 15 years. All right, then we got a Batman 1. So yeah, I think there's another Batman 1 as well that sold as a 2.0. So we can check that one out at the same time. So this one, 7.0 sold for $630. Let's see. So the last one to sell was March of 2023, sold for $660. So down slightly from that one, but really not that bad. Like, it's not that bad. I think there's a 2.0 somewhere down here. There's the 2.0. Might as well just look at them both. Okay, so we got a 2.0 selling for a little over $100,000. And the last 2.0 to sell was, dang, this one sold for, back in June, sold for $176. So this went way, way, way down. And I think Golden Age Guru was trying to sell his 2.0 for like 190, or no, his was a 2.5. It was 190, which seemed to be more in place. Yeah, it was 190, and last one was 215. But yeah, this one dropped way, way down. I don't know, just that one's not good. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, go for Hulk. You know, the best comic book there is. I'm just gonna pull them all up. That way I don't have to like go through each individual one all the time. I'll do art at the end of this too. Art's really hard to do, but I was looking at the art and I was like, oh, it actually did pretty well. Let's do this with Fantastic Four. There's not gonna be many sales in the. Let's do that one. Oh man, another one. Okay, let's do Fantasy 15. We want to do a Fantasy 15. I'm just gonna go through Vampiro 1. Sure, why not? Silver Surfer number 1. Why not? I'm trying to find ones that would have like Wonder Woman. I think that was pretty high. Okay. Albedo number 2. I have one in a 9.8. I'll tell you a very interesting story about this Albedo number 2. Come as soon as we get to it. What else looks good? Oh, there we go. Spider-Man 129. Let's do the Spider-Man 165. Okay, giant size. Now, there's a giant size X-Men number 1 on here. And a 9.8, it sold for $22,200. There was also a 9.8 CBCS that sold for like $19,000. I'm not sure if that, it'll probably be on here somewhere. Let's do this Iron Man 1. Sort of Captain America in a 9.9. I don't want to do all the same. We'll just be here forever. Yeah, I don't see the giant size. The giant size is somewhere. I don't know. But the giant size X-Men number 1. Okay, so we got a good group of stuff. All right, Hulk number 1. Let's see here. Now my computer is working well. Good. I don't know why I was going slow earlier. Okay. Number 1, 9.2. Okay, is that the highest grade? It's probably going to have me log in. Whatever. I don't think it's the highest grade. Last one sold in 2018 for about $336,000. So this one sold for $825. Dang, that's way, way up. Let's see, you'll tell me down here. There's one in a 9.4. There is actually 6 in a 9.2. So this is the second highest grade, tied with 6 others. And again, 2018, it sold for $330,000. It's now selling for $825,000. Wow, that is a huge jump. So if you had the 9.4, Hulk number 1 is $1 million book. It breaks the million, because if you have a 9.4, you're probably looking at like at least like 1.5, I would say. Okay. Brave and the Bold. Now this is a single highest grade. So that means there is none that tie it, and it is the highest that you can possibly get. First appearance of whatever it's called, the Justice League of America. So it's a 9.6, sold for $810,000. So we're not going to have anything to compare it to because it is single highest grade. But we can see what a 9.4 sold back in 2004. Wow. So if you, like, literally there's been nothing since 2004 for the second highest grade. The third highest grade is back in 2013. The most recent one sold was for the highest grade was a 9.0 back in 2020, and that sold for almost 50 grand. So wow, think about this: 810,000 for Brave and Bold. It's not even the first appearance of really anything like any superhero. It's the first appearance of a team up, similar to like the Avengers, just think something like that. Sold for $810,000. That is a lot. Turtles number one in a 9.8. Now and this is the first printing. Now there's been multiple Turtles number ones sold recently in a 9.8, so that's going to be good to compare it to. Let's see. All right, so the last one sold was here's a graph. As you can see, it peaked, way up here for 245,000 back in 2021. It dropped. The last one sold. There's only been one in 2023. It sold for 120,000 through Heritage. This one sold for 132. So it has gone up. And I did a video talking about how I think we are near like the bottom. I'm not saying things are going to shoot up to like massive highs like they were in 2021, like instantly, literally within months. But I think we are in that cavern where we're at, kind of at the bottom. We're coming out. That I did a whole video on it. You can watch it. But 132, so slightly higher than it was before in all 2023. So in 12 months, it's a record. All right, then we got Avengers, first Captain America Revival for Silver Age. You know what they never do? It's like they always do like, oh, this is the first Silver Age appearance or blah, blah, blah. They never do, this is the first Bronze Age appearance, first Copper Age appearance. That's interesting. I just thought about that. All right, we got a 9.8, Avengers number 4. Let's see what it's doing. 9.8. Last one sold 132,000. I forget. Okay, 108. Not that great. Down. All right. Electro, high grade. This is all high grade stuff. Number 9. So this is like the top echelon of things. And a 9.8. Probably, last one sold was, here we go, peak. In 2021, 132. What is it, 126? So not that bad. Only down 5 grand from its peak. I mean, if you think about other things out there, they're down by like 50, 70. And if it's NFT, down by 99%. So, yeah, not bad. Only down by 5 grand. That's negligible. That's this, it's an auction. All right, Journey of Mystery, 83. First appearance of Thor. Let's see. Compare it to the GPA. Let's see if it's up or down. 9.0. Let's see. Last one sold in June of 2022 for 105,000. This one sold for 80, so down 20% from the last time it sold. Let's see if we have anything that sold in 2021. Just to see if we can kind of compare it to other things. Come on now. Oh, there we go. Oh, no, that was a record. It was in 2022. So, all right, so down. Where's this one? Hulk number 175. Come on. There it is. All right, Hulk number 1. Let's see if it would load. Any day now. There it goes. Okay, Hulk number 175. Let's see. 66,000 with itself. 84. Wow. I forget, even though I just said it, I forgot. Okay, so let's see. Compare 84. So that was ties for 2023. 20 there was none in the 75. But 2022 did have a record one sold for 108,000. So down from the all-time high, but it is pretty much at a year high, at least a 12 months high. Was there any other Hulks? Why am I Hulk? Let's see. I could probably see right here. Is this Hulk or is this Iron Man? No, Iron Man. Okay, so that's all. That's Hulk. House of Secrets, 92. Okay, House of Secrets 92 in a 9.8. First appearance of the Swamp Thing. And I picked 94. Let's do 92. We don't want 94. I don't know what 94 is. All right, sold for $84,000. There is 3 at a 9.8. All right, the last one sold in 2021 for 2021 sold for 90 grand. So slightly under its all-time high, which is not bad. It's not bad at all. Compared to like when other things have been dropping so much. Here's the Hulk. Ugh, stupid me. There's a Hulk right there the whole time. Now I have to go back up. I should alphabetize this. Oh well. Where's this? 9.8 sold for 72,000. I wonder how many there is at a 9.8. Probably a ton. Let's see, where is that little graph? Uh, 144. Wow, at a 9.8. All right. So, I mean, the last one sold for $57,000. This one sold for 78. Now this is very common. See this little graph where it goes up and it's like big spike and drops down. This is like probably 2021 or 2022, somewhere in there. And the problem with these graphs, 2022, is that like you'll see is like, oh, the all-time high was way. It's like, look how much higher it is from the next ones. It's just like the next one was, okay, so this one peaked at like 138,000. And then the next one was 96,000. So, and then if you go to the other side, it's 102,000. So it just went from like slowly going up 102, 140. And then the next one was like all the way down to like 90. So you kind of, it's usually like this one sale that like throws everything off. 78. So it ties the highest for last year of 2023. So yeah, not bad. So the whole kind of thesis of this is, are comics really still going down? Are they coming back up? Things like that. And everything I'm seeing is like, yeah, they're not all-time highs. And some of them are down from where they were, the last one sold in, whenever it was. But overall, I'm pretty sure like it doesn't seem that bad. Okay, let's go back to Spider-Man 1. This one's an 8.5. 66,000. I wonder if that's low. I have no idea, All right, last one sold was in 2021 for 72. So at its all-time high, not down that much. I think there's another Spider-Man one. Here's Amazing Spider-Man. No, that's Amazing Fantasy. The Silver Surfer. Albedo number 2. Spider-Man 1. 6.5. Okay. 6.5. This one sold $21,000 for 6.5. The last 6.5 was 17,000, so up. If we look at the graph for 2023, it seems to be right in the middle. So not high, not low, just right in the middle. Let's look up at the Spider-Man 129 while we're at Spider-Man, so I don't have to go searching for it. All right, the Spider-Man, let's see how many are in whatever it was, a 9.8. 184, so more Spider-Man 129s than Hulk 181s. And 24,000, that seems low to me. And I was right. Last one was sold for 26,000. It looks like it's kind of been stabilizing for the last year. 24, so it's not the lowest, right? 24, so it's not the lowest for 2023, but there's one for 23,000, but it is kind of on the low end, I would say. But it's not really falling off a cliff. Showcase 4, we already kind of looked up Showcase 4, so not that many of them. So you're not going to see that, like, when there's just not a lot of sales of something, it's hard to, like, compare it to. Okay. FF48, First Silver Surfer and Galactus. A 9.8, selling for almost 100 grand. I have no idea if that's a lot or a little. All right, so the last one sold for 93,000. Is this an all-time record? Nope. In 2021, one sold for 108. There's one, but it is better than all of 2023 and all 2022 because there is no 2022, as you can see. So good. I would say this is really good. Sensation Comics. Sensation Comics number 5 sold for 45,000. All right, the last 5.5 sold for 40 grand. So it is better than a 5.5 that recently sold in 2023. But there hasn't been one since 2019 for a 5.0, and that sold for 40 grand. So since 2019, it is up 5 grand. So that is good, up. How about another Wonder Woman, an all-star? This is not the top grade. This is just a middle-of-the-road grade. A 5.0 sold for 56. I feel that's kind of low. Yeah, so the last one sold for 93. But then a 4.5 sold for 43. So if you compare it to because that 5.0 was back in February 2022. So that compare it to January 1, the 4.5, it's kind of right on target for what it is currently going for. So yeah. Amazing Fantasy 15. Here we go. Here's a good book. Let's see how this is doing. I don't know. I can just hear people say, it's like, yeah, what are you talking about? That basically means they lost half their money because the previous one sold for like 90-something thousand. It's like, look, they bought it too much. It's like that Hulk 181 I showed you. It's like they're going through, they're selling for like 80, 90,000. One sells for 102, and then some person decides to spend 140,000. Basically 40,000 or 40% past the last known sale just a few months later. Like, that's ridiculous. So it's like always these one like sales that like throw everything off. It was like, oh, they spent too much to begin with. When you look at everything else compared to around it that sold before it, or even other grades around it, it's like, yeah, you paid way too much. All right, so a 5.0. People was probably at it. Okay, $57,000. This one's so, ooh, wow. Dang, this is a good deal. Dang. Oh, I'm a moron. It's 9 ended. This one's 9 ended. But why am I? I was like 36. Why does it have a 43 next to it? Hopefully I didn't do that with any of the other ones. I'm just going off the top, and so this one ends tomorrow. I'm just doing the first day, which is all the good stuff. So yeah, sorry, can't do that one. Let's make sure all these other ones are sold before I start jumping the gun. And yeah, okay, that was the only one. Okay, Vampirella. That was weird. Good thing I spotted that. Or I'm sure someone in the comments would be like, David, you messed up. And I'm like, I know. Maybe one of the other ones I did. I didn't even realize. Okay, a 9.8 for Vampirella. Last one sold in 2016, sold for 13 grand. This was, dang, 78,000. How many is there? Two. Okay. So 78,000. So this one sold, 8 years ago. And math, 5 times? 5x your money in 8 years? That's really good. And people say comics aren't investments. Look at this. This person bought this for 13,000 and then sold it for 78. That was a great investment. I don't know what you're talking about. You guys are, I would love that. So, and it's so funny. People are like, oh, comics are too high. They can't go any higher. I'm like, what? Like, I bet you could say the same thing for that person back in 2016 or whatever it was. They're like, oh, this is way too high. Vampirella? No one even cares about Vampirella. You're spending way too much. I remember someone telling me a story how he asked his wife if he could buy this Action Comics #1. He said it was in the late 90s. It was $25,000, and they were going to have to take out a mortgage on their house or a second mortgage or something like that. And his wife said no. And he's like, no, it's an actual one. And he said it was a nice copy. It wasn't like a junky copy. And so it's like, I mean, what's that Action one worth now? Probably, a couple million now. So what are we on? Silver Surfer #1. Okay, the last one that sold in a 9.8 was 2016, sold for 33,000. This one sold for 100,000 more. 100,000 more. That is crazy. That's crazy towns. How many is in? Where is? Okay, here it is. 13. No, that's 10. There's 10 and a 9.8. Wow, that's quite a lot. Okay, Wonder Woman #1. I know this pretty well. I think this is kind of on par of what it should be. Okay, and there it goes. Finally. Okay, Wonder Woman. What is the grade is this? 3.5. None sold recently, but a 3.0 sold for $27,000. So up. What did it sell for again? For a 3.5, so not quite the 3.0, but I think it was like 35,000, 36,000. So that's good. That's a good price. That's a good price for a Wonder Woman #1 and a 3.5. Okay. And then we only got a couple left. Oh, we got a good one coming up, which I would like to talk about because it'll be an interesting story. So let's check out this X-Men real quick. X-Men 94. X-Men, what is it? 9.8, so top grade. How many is there in a 9.8? There's 40. In a 9.8, so much less than the other ones, like the Hulk 181 and the Spider-Man 129. Okay, last one sold was for 47,000. This one sold for 32. So this one's been dropping off a cliff. I know that for a fact. These ones have been quite low for a long time. All right, Albedo #2. First appearance of Usagi Yojimbo. There's 18 at a 9.8. Okay. Now, why is this interesting? Why do I care about this Albedo #2? Well, I'll tell you why I care about this Albedo #2. It's because I have an Albedo #2 at a 9.8. And let's see, do I even... There it is. And so the interesting thing was there hasn't been one sold for quite a while. So it's very hard to price. Come on. Show up. It's very hard to price what it was because the last one sold was back in 2020. So before all the craze, and sold for 19 grand. And I believe one sold, a signature copy sold, right? I think a signature copy sold. Was it through Heritage? And was it Green Label or was it sold in 2020, sold for 28,800. So if you watch my video about having to sell my personal collection, this was in there. And this was also the owner, the creator of the comic book Albedo, not the creator of Usagi, but the creator of Albedo. Steve Galacci or something. I'm saying his name wrong. But nonetheless, I had a hard time pricing it because when I first announced that I had it before I was willing to sell it and it was in my personal collection, I had offers for around 70,000-ish, but they weren't like, there's more like, oh, I'll pay 70, but it wasn't like a full actual offer. And so then I put this up and I got a couple offers and then one person offered 45 for it. And I was like, okay, sure. But then they're like, well, I need to get the money. I don't have the money. Will you take some books? And I was like, working on, and it never materialized into anything. No down payment, no nothing. And so I was like, and then because I'm pretty sure this person was watching this auction to see what this goes for, because a lot of people they were watching this. They're like, well, there's one in auction, so I'm going to watch this one to see what it goes for because I don't want to overpay. And the guy who was going to pay 45, he said that his friend just picked up one through a private party for 38. So I was like, okay, 45 seems reasonable, somewhere between 40 and 45, especially since it's the file copy of Steve Galacci, adds a little more value, things like that. Nonetheless, I was watching this auction. I was getting all nervous because I was like, oh no. It was down at $10,000. It was $10,000 prior to from a day ago. And I was like, oh my gosh, this thing's going to sell for like 20 grand. And yeah, it's just going to suck. And so I was like, man, I wish this guy would like commit to this 45, but he never did. And so I was like, oh no, it's going to sell for like 10 grand, 15 grand. And then everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm not going to pay your crazy price. The last one sold was 10 grand, 15 grand. And I'm like, oh. And then the day of the auction, right before it goes into the live event, it went up to 25. And I was like, okay, 25. I was like, maybe hopefully someone bids, and they bid like, a little more, and it goes up to like 35, because if it's 35, I could probably find someone to pay a little bit more than 35. And then bam, it sells for 55,000. So I was like, good. So this is an all-time record, shattered. And I'm gonna make sure that my Albedo number 2 is the next all-time high record. So there you go. Comics dead? I think not. So giant size. X-Men number 1, 9.8. I guarantee this is not a record price right here. This is going to be a super low price. Let's get rid of this stupid sign thing. All right, 9.8. The last one sold for 30,000, and this one sold for 22. Like, look at this. See this little graph? Like, you're going along, and then it's selling for like 20,000, 15,000, 10,000, 20,000. Another one for 18.6, and then the next one up was 60, and then bam, 72, and then the one right after that, 50. So it's just like, this one was like, whoa, it's just like out of the blue, just one selling. The one previous was 20, then bam, sells for 60, and then 72, and then down to 50, and then the next one was down to 40, and then it kind of went up a bit, and then it went down. Previous to the 30,000 one, it was 25. So this one's selling for 22. So it's pretty much back to before the comic boom. This is where it should be. But pretty low. Especially since one just sold for 30,000. So, and this one sold for 30,000 was December 5th through Heritage. So, what's this? Off-white to white pages. What was the other one? Might make a difference. White pages. Maybe that can make a little bit of difference. But even when the one in November, off-white to white pages sold for 25, so even a little more. So this is a good deal. Whoever picked up this book, make sure it's not currently in auction. Yep. So that was a good deal. Iron Man. Number 1, 9.8. I think this is from my... I can tell you for a fact, this one right here is from my dad's collection that I went with him. So if you want to hear an interesting story when I get that, I'm pretty sure this one is as well. Because my dad got the collection when CGC was like kind of new, and this is like an old label. This is one of those things. Okay, the last one sold for 27. This one sold for 28.8. Okay, so it's up a little bit. Is it all-time record? I don't think so. All-time record would be 52. One massive sale. And then everything else is in the 20s, the 30s. So there's probably just some fool just going around paying record price for everything. You know who it was? I'll tell you exactly who it was. Why all these one-off sales for record prices? It's all those people. I've talked about this before. It's like there's a bunch of them, but there's one called Otis. There's one called Alt. There's one called Rowley Road. There are these companies that buy up like one-of-a-kinds or highest grades, things like that, really high grades, stuff like that, or really desired books in a high grade. And then they auction off shares where you can buy shares of a particular collectible. So, and you might be wondering, like, okay, why would they pay a bunch of money? Because they're not actual comic collectors. They're not comic book dealers. They're not, vintage collectors of any kind, like sports cards or nothing. They're none of that. They're VC people. And they built, they had an idea, and they went to Silicon Valley, and they were like, hey, we have this great idea. Why don't you invest in our company? So they got millions of dollars. Some of these companies got like $78 million, $50 million. So imagine a VC, venture capitalist, so basically a firm, they're investing in you. Hopefully you're going to be the next big thing, but it won't happen. I did a whole video on it. It's not going to happen. And then you get $78, $50 million for your company. And your whole goal is to buy these rare, one-of-a-kind things so you can have them. Because what you want is you want people to come to your site and be like, wow, I've never seen that before. Or it's one of a kind. I can't get this anywhere. So you want those rare stuff. So they pretty much buy up all the stuff. They'll pay a massive premium. And there's like 3, 5, 6, I don't know how many companies still exist, but there's a bunch of companies getting all this money from investors. And they're just bidding against each other. Or they go for like private sales and they're like, oh, I'll pay this massive price, things like that. And and they just bid them all high up, all really, really high. And that's why there's always like the one sale really, really high, because we got to have this in our store because we want our customers coming like, ooh, I can't get that anywhere. I could never afford a, a giant size X-Men #1 and a 9.8. It's like they just sold for $72,000. And that's another reason why they wanted to sell higher, is because then they get it for $72,000. Then they list it on their site for like $90,000 or $100,000. I've seen it happen. I've literally seen them buy it at an auction and they list it for more. And then now you're buying fractional shares. So someone like me or you comes along, it's like, oh, I want that giant size. I could never afford a $100,000 giant size X-Men #1 9.8, but I can get a share of it. I can get, $1,000 worth. And then you take that little share and then you can sell it. But you never actually own it. You just have a share of it. So it's just kind of dumb, the whole thing. They've reached out to me and they wanted to do like ads with me and stuff like that. But this was back in like 2021 and 2022 and the hype was still good. Now, all those companies, I guarantee you heard it here first. You heard it here first. Once they run out of funding, they are done. They are done. You're never going to see them again. Like, not maybe other companies like that, but those specific companies, they're done. Unless they pivot. I saw one pivoted to being just a traditional eBay marketplace, whatever, sell your collectibles, list them and sell them type of thing. But if they continue down this fractional share stuff, this is going to happen. They'll run out of funding, and then they're not going to have any money to basically run operations, and then they're going to have to sell their collectibles, and then they just close down shop. Someone buys them for the intellectual property or whatever. I have no idea. But they're going to close down. They're not going to be, right now, they're just literally surviving off of funding. And once the funding dries up, because it has dried up, like people aren't really funding anything anymore. And especially once, say, funding comes back in like, maybe 2 years and people are a little more lenient with their money, I guarantee you they're not going to be funding this because they're like, it's not really working out. Like all your collectibles have lost money. That just proves that you don't know what you're doing. And yeah, they're not going to, because every time you fund a company, you have to fund it more than the previous one at a higher valuation. More and more and more. Or it's considered a down round. And down round is basically you're going out of business and someone just feels sorry for you and hopes that they can make it work. But with like new leadership and all this kind of stuff. But they're done. They're done. They'll still be around because, like I said, they got 50 to like 78 million depending on the company. That's so much money. That's so much money. So they're going to stick around for, until that's all gone. I mean, they bought a bunch of collectibles. There goes a bunch, but still, they're probably sitting on millions and millions of dollars. At their disposal. And that can, you can last a long time, especially they probably don't have a very big operation. So it's not like you have to pay so much in salaries and all that kind of stuff. So they could probably last quite a while off their money, but eventually they're going to be gone. I would say the only ones I know there's a bunch more. I know, what was it? Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He had one. I don't even remember what it's called. I think they're terrible ideas. I know people still think they're cool, but I think they're a bad idea, and it's going to run out of money eventually, all of them. So, which sucks because, it's part of the collectible world. I don't want to see people going out of business, but it is what it is, and that's going to happen. So that's why you see all those ridiculous sales, especially on video games, also stuff like video games selling for like $1.5 million for Mario 64. Dumb. And then I love it. So a Mario 64, most of you people know it. It came out in like mid 90s. It was like a perfect grade or whatever it was. Sold for $1.5 million. Then the next one, 6 months later or something like that, sold for $1 million. And then I think it's down to like $300,000. That's what it sells for now, because more have come out. Because duh, this is like a new field is video games. So there's a lot of people sitting on sealed copies that are like, oh, what's this grading company? I'm not going to use the grading company. And then they're like, oh, it sells for a lot. Sure, I'll send my thing in. And then it gets flooded. Supply and demand. All right, the last one, which is probably only one of 99 Captain America 2021 at the height, 78,000. This one sold for $78. So tied the world record. This one right here, even at its all-time highs. Yep, that was it's probably the only one. And I was going to tell you an interesting story about, there's two at a 99. That's interesting. Why I think this is my dad's copy. So, I don't remember the year, but I used to go with my dad to look at collections as a little kid. And I loved it. We go all around, mostly the West Coast. And I'd go with him, driving with him. He always brought me because I was always the one that loved comics and I worked with him. All my other brothers didn't care about comics nor work with him out in the shop. I would like get done with all my schoolwork as fast as possible and then go over there and just, all my other brothers would go play and I would just go and work with my dad. I think I started at age 4. A bag and backboard, put the bags and the backboards together. He used to give me a penny per completed one, but then I got so fast he realized he was paying me more than minimum wage, so then he decided to pay me by the hour. And I'd take all my money and spend it on buying comic books. So anyways, he went and looked at a collection. It was 2 guys. One of them died, but it was this guy, these 2 brothers. So this was, the big premiere issue, 1968. That's when Marvel decided to expand into more titles. So you got Hulk 102, you got Iron Man 1, Captain America 100, Iron Man and Submariner number 1, Nick Fury number 1, Doctor Strange 169. Am I missing one? I said Hulk 102. I might be missing one. That's 6. I think that's all of them. Anyways, so this guy and his brother, for some reason, back in 1968, they thought these are going to be worth something someday. So they literally just bought long boxes. They had long boxes of the same books. They didn't put them in bags and backboards, all long boxes, the same book. Kept them in pristine condition. I think they either worked near a comic shop or they worked for like a newsstand that had it, and they just would just, as soon as they came off the truck, they would just take them and buy them all, and as soon as off the truck, boom. Like when it was coming out, oh, this is going to come out, boom, just buy a distribution box. Or I don't know how they did it back then. I think they tied them with like rope or something. Nonetheless, that's basically what my sorry, I'm moving this thing around. These brothers did. Well, anyways, the brothers died, or one of the brothers died, and so the other brother's like, you know what? Bad memories. I just want to sell it. So my dad bought all those, and CGC was brand new, and we went to the San Diego Comic-Con, and he had a bunch graded. He even had 9.9s. He had 9.9s of all of them, except Hulk 102 and he had a Nick Fury 9.9, Iron Man number 199, Iron Man and Submariner number 199, Captain America 100.99. He had those all graded at San Diego Comic-Con. And I remember people coming and looking at him, and he would sell just the raw copies. He's like, oh, 9.0, 9.2, 9.4. I don't even want to get those graded. He just got the 9.8s pretty much. And so he had a bunch of those. And I remember that and sold them all fairly cheap back in the day. Very, very cheap. I wish I still had his little guide that he used. But nonetheless, I remember that trip very, very well. I don't know how old I was. It was probably when he got the collection, because he got it before CGC, but he had them all. And he tried to sell it through, he had a mail order catalog. And he literally just put a picture of one and goes, these are all 9.4s. But it's before they called it 9.4. He just called it near mint. And he just put a price and people would buy and he just grab one. So you weren't grabbing the one in the picture. But nonetheless, that was that story. I was probably, I don't know, like 10, 11, 12, something like that. That's it. Hope you like. Overall, my consensus is that it's not going down. Comics aren't going down. They're kind of at this nice even play and some going up. So I feel like I've said it before. I think the worst is behind us. Have a good day.